So much of this season's book reports are about a beginning to reversing my ignorance on a wide variety of science fiction authors and their works. There's a long list of classics that I've never read, and one aspect of this series is an attempt to fix all that. So yeah, the time has come for The Left Hand of Darkness. Isn't this the worst cover? Of all the possible covers, this is like the worst cover. It means nothing. I don't even know. So I've read a lot about this book over the years. Mostly people seem to focus on the way Ursula Le Guin was exploring gender concepts decades before it was fashionable to do so. But people never seem to bring up the story all that much, so I was interested in finding out what the book was actually about beyond the fact that the residents of the planet Gethin are ambisexual, which of course is a major part of their culture, but not the only interesting aspect. Our protagonist, Genly AI, has been sent to Gethin by the Ecumen, a sort of federation. The Ecumen keeps finding new planets inhabited by humans, with subtle differences among them. This latest planet, Gethin, aka Winter, since the planet's in the middle of an ice age, has a number of different governments, and as we begin our story, Genly has been working with Estraven, the Prime Minister of Karhide, to get an audience with the king. The king is not impressed. Estraven gets politically outmaneuvered and replaced, and both Estraven and Genly find themselves taking refuge in the enemy nation of Orgarain. But there's a lot of intrigue there too, so it's not exactly safe. Genly AI and Lord Estraven are the first-person narrators of the book, though some chapters are excerpts from reports or other documents in true world-building fashion. There's some comparisons to be made here with Star Trek and the Prime Directive, I guess, but while the Ecumen has some good guidelines that are similar to the Prime Directive, it lacks a real Starfleet, and the planets are mostly together to share information and long-term trade. The book could probably be easily adapted to a Trek episode. It would at least be better than the way they handled alien gender in that one TNG episode.
Captain's log supplemental. Commander Riker and the Janai pilot have set out to chart the null space pocket. If they're successful, we can then proceed with a rescue attempt.
Commander, tell me about your sexual organs.
If you're enjoying this video, why not buy my book? Flight of the Pangolin is the story of an intrepid group of heroes who decide to exit the solar system over the objections of an isolationist faction. There's actually a lot more going on than that. There's space pirates, a giant spider for no reason, all kinds of other things. Buy it now online wherever you buy books or at our website, www.thepangolinrepublic.com. You can also get fun t-shirts and random other stuff if you want. The ambisexual nature of the Gethinians, of course, influences a lot of the world building of the setting, and while the mechanics of their reproductive process is explained, it's all handled very tastefully, matter-of-factly. I can think of some authors of the era who would have taken the opportunity to be as salacious and outrageous as possible, but we are in the hands of Ursula Le Guin here, a dignified professional. The Left Hand of Darkness is full of world building and political intrigue. There's not a laser pistol in sight, and not a ton of action overall. The Gethinians don't even have a word for war. They have no standing armies. They do have some weapons, and assassination is a tool of statecraft, but they lack the need for large-scale violence. So, not a ton of action, but lots of world building and political intrigue. Are these strengths or weaknesses? You decide. Your mileage may vary, but I like this book a lot. I feel like people should bring this book up more, actually. I know it won the Hugo and the Nebula, which is fine, and it lacks a lot of the action hooks necessary to get it to the level of mainstream popularity or name recognition as something like Ender's Game or Johnny Mnemonic. What I'm saying is they need to make a bad movie of it so people will read the book. We all know how that goes. Sci-fi fans definitely know it, but this is right in that sweet spot where it's very much also literary fiction. It's a spaceship and an Ansible away from being not sci-fi at all, really, at least from the pew-pew perspective. So I think it's not only great sci-fi, but also a great recommendation for people who don't typically read sci-fi. So will I be reading more Le Guin? Yes, absolutely. Her characters are well-rounded, her world building is masterful. The pacing is maybe a bit on the slow side, but I think that has more to do with me living in the 21st century than any fault of the book. I know The Left Hand of Darkness is part of a loosely cohesive bunch of books called the Hainish Cycle, So I'll probably read one of them for my next LeGuin read, whenever I get to it. So what's your favorite LeGuin? Which heinous psycho book should I read next?
Did I take this job for a quick buck?
Let us know in the comments. We'll see you next time.